What's going on, wrestling family? Welcome back to the channel. So this one is called 10 WWE wrestlers who deliberately injured and hurt their opponent. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into this.
WWE wrestlers who tried to intentionally hurt their own opponent. Number 10, Drew Gulak.
Yeah, he
Over
got a
the past
reputation.
number of years, several harrowing and disturbing stories have surfaced related to former WWE star Drew Gulak. In relation to his reputation as a wrestler, he was known for targeting injuries, and he was even caught in 4K spiking a wrestler right on the head. This occurred on NXT Level Up in 2023, and Gulak spiked Dante Chen with so much force and so much anger that everyone outside of Gulak looked incredibly concerned for Chen's welfare. Quite rightly, Gulak was verbally reprimanded by head of NXT Shawn Michaels, and fans were calling on WWE to fire Gulak immediately after the spot. A pro wrestler who acts in this manner should be nowhere near a wrestling ring, and it's rather unsettling to know that Gulak is still receiving bookings outside of WWE. Number 9, Hardcore Holly. Hardcore Holly was often labeled as a bully, and he was often keen to pick on younger and upcoming talent. In 2004, it was widely reported that Holly had a personal issue with Rene Dupree, and the issue started after Holly allowed Dupree to borrow his rental vehicle. The vehicle was then issued with a parking ticket, and Dupree ultimately failed to pay the fine. Instead of communicating with Dupree, Holly decided to retaliate by legitimately attacking Dupree during a live event tag team match. Holly wasn't just trying to intentionally hurt Dupree, he was trying to brutalize him, as Dupree received a black eye and numerous bruises and lacerations. Quite rightly, WWE fined Holly a total of $10,000 for the incident, and it's likely that if this type of incident happened in today's WWE, then a suspension or firing would have followed. Number 8.
That is dumb. That is dumb. You're upset because a guy didn't pay for a ticket he got in your rental car, which I get. I understand. I fully understand that. But now you got fined probably 10 times the amount it would have cost to pay off that ticket. How's that even worth it? How is that even worth it? That makes no sense at all.
Ron Simmons. Backstage in WWE during the late 90s, Ahmed Johnson wasn't exactly Mr.
They said Ron Simmons, whenever he gave people a receipt, them receipts were stiff. Pause. He gave out receipts like it. I mean, I don't can imagine what he would do if he tried to intentionally hurt someone.
Popular. One of the names he had upset in a major way was Ron Simmons. In a match, Johnson had kicked Simmons with so much force that he had legitimately damaged Simmons' liver. This was during a time in which there were endless complaints about Johnson's in-ring work. Wrestlers from top to bottom believed that Johnson sucked in the ring. They believed that he was reckless and he was going to seriously injure someone, which of course he ended up doing. Once Simmons returned to in-ring action, he decided to take revenge on Johnson in a scheduled match. During the match, Simmons would shoot on Johnson, breaking 3 of his ribs in the process. Whilst WWE would never encourage this type of behavior, they should have known to pull Johnson from TV when the complaints were made. If a wrestler is unsafe and is actively hurting other talent, then it's clear that they need more development as a matter of urgency. Number 7.
You know what? I don't condone violence, and I'm all for trying to protect each other in the ring. But in this instance, for someone who has a history of trying to hurt people in the ring, I'm not gonna say I'm in approval of that, but I'll say I don't got too much of a problem with it. I don't. Because that is crazy. That is crazy.
The APA. But speaking of Ron Simmons, a few years after the incident with Ahmed Johnson, he had a similar incident with 2 new WWE stars, the Public Enemy. The APA was set to wrestle the Public Enemy on Sunday Night Heat, and just moments before they went through the curtain, the Public Enemy suddenly decided they had an issue with the finish. Bradshaw discussed the exact moment on his podcast, and this is what the former WWE champion had to say. Their music is playing, literally playing. We went over the match, went over everything, and everything was agreed. And it's not our finish. So it's not like me and Ron created the finish, it was given to us by The Office. Same as it was given to them by The Office. They turn to me and say, hey, we're not going to do that spot on the table. Well, that's the finish. They said, yeah, we don't want to do that spot. I said, okay. They didn't offer an alternative, so Ron turns to me and goes, what was that? I said, they don't want to go through the table. And he said, well, we'll take the table to them. The APA decided to take it to them in the match in a rather physical manner. This would end up being one of the most infamous matches of the respective era. Those chair shots were brutal. Number 6.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, man. I miss Bradshaw. I get people are fans of JBL. I personally wasn't a fan of JBL when he came out and looked like, what is it, Dimmadome from Fairly Odd Parents. I don't know JBL. The only JBL I know is Speakers, bro. The Bradshaw, that's the one I rock with. APA, Acolytes, Black Pants with the star on it. Might need a little Jesus on that, but that's a whole different conversation. I don't know about JBL, bro. I don't know.
Cena and Rene Dupree. Rene Dupree has made endless comments about John Cena over the past 2 decades, and on his podcast, he claims that in a segment on SmackDown during their feud, the two proceeded to have a shoot fight and intentionally hurt each other. The incident occurred in April of 2004 when WWE booked Tori Wilson to face Dupree in an intergender match. The match resulted in a no contest after Cena made the heroic save. During Cena and Dupree's brawl, it was obvious that the two men were going all in on each other, and this is what Dupree had to say about the incident on his podcast. I remember we were told by Fit Finlay and the other agents that the physicality between me and John Cena afterward, when he made the save, had to look real. And let me tell you, it was as real as it can be. I busted his eyebrow open, he was bleeding, and he busted my lip, and I think I had a bruise somewhere on my face. Those were live rounds. Now it's unclear if WWE punished both men, as whilst they wanted the segment to look real, it's highly unlikely that they wanted both men to legitimately fight each other in the ring. Number 5. Jake Roberts.
Jake the Snake.
It was once a common place for wrestlers to give out receipts when they were hurt by another opponent. This was the case with Jake Roberts and Sid, as Sid was extremely stiff with Roberts during the match, so Roberts eventually had enough and decided to legitimately snap his bicep. Roberts revealed his story during an episode of his podcast, saying, "I had an incident where a guy was giving me a clothesline every night and it was freaking ripping my head off, and I was recovering from having neck surgery. And in wrestling, you can make it look like you tore the guy's head off, or you can tear the guy's head off. So the next time we wrestled, he clotheslined me and I did a little maneuver and snapped his bicep in half with intent. And when he went down, he was grabbing his arm, the bicep rolled up on his shoulder, it looked pretty awesome, and he's screaming to ring the bell, and I jumped on top of him and grabbed his bicep and just started squeezing." Roberts went on to say that he regretted the incident and stated that he needed to issue an apology to Sid. Number 4. Umaga.
Yo, Jake is a savage, bro. That is, oh my God, man. I couldn't imagine. I get it. You just had neck surgery and someone is still clotheslining you, like, you don't care, bro. You trying to paralyze me? I understand the anger, but taking a torn bicep and squeezing it, dude. Whew. That is crazy, bro. I don't belong in wrestling, bro. That's all that means. I don't belong in wrestling.
The storyline for SummerSlam in 2007 was going to see the stars of Jackass take on Umaga. The storyline began the year prior when Umaga destroyed 2 members of the group on Raw. During the beatdown, Steve-O failed to sell for Umaga and even laughed during the supposed beatdown. This made the credible Umaga absolutely furious. Umaga decided to legitimately elbow Steve-O and deliver stiff shots in order for him to stay down. Although the SummerSlam match in 2007 was eventually cancelled, the Jackass stars, particularly Steve-O, will never forget their run-in with the Samoan Bulldozer. Number 3. The Big
They can handle it. If you ever watch their show, they've endured probably way worse than what they had to deal with Umaga. So I'm sure, not saying that Umaga is weak. I'm not saying that at all. But the stuff that they were doing in their movies and on their TV shows, crazy stuff, man.
Show. It's rare to hear stories of the Big Show legitimately shooting on other wrestlers, yet in 2006, he decided to use his size and strength to punish a member of the Spirit Squad. The issue was between Show and Spirit Squad member Johnny, and it was said to start after Johnny played a prank on Show during a live event match when Johnny asked Show to pick up a sandwich. Johnny revealed that the next time he encountered Show in the ring, Show put his health and safety in great jeopardy. Johnny felt completely powerless as he knew WWE management wouldn't do a thing about it. Johnny clearly believed that it was a harmless prank, but the Big Show didn't think of it that way, and he decided the best way to handle things was physicality in the squared circle. Number 2.
Why do people keep playing with the Big Show? He is sensitive. He's always been sensitive, bro. You can find a compilation for 5 minutes of the man crying. I'm not saying he's less than a man, but he's a sensitive guy. If you mess with a sensitive, tall, powerful man, your health is going to be in danger every time. There's no time for pranks. Oh, the Headbangers, bro. Mosh and Thrasher. I remember them.
The Headbangers. In 1998, the Insane Clown Posse's request for a raise went down so poorly that the Headbangers were asked to make an example out of the two during an episode of Raw. This story was revealed by a headbanger Mosh while speaking to WSI's James Romero. "We had an agent come to us and say, you guys go out and beat the shit out of them. Beat the shit out of them because they're not coming back tomorrow. And if you don't beat the shit out of them, then the guys won't be in the building tomorrow either." So we went, okay, that's what we did.
They put a hit on them?
Features the Headbangers basically shooting on the duo, and it's extremely hard to watch. There are numerous stiff moves being delivered, and the chair shots are definitely coming from a place of hatred. And number 1, Andre the Giant. The Ultimate Warrior didn't have the best reputation both inside and outside the ring, and he was often known for being overly stiff in matches. When Warrior would wrestle Andre the Giant in the late 80s, the two would perform in a spot where Andre got caught in the ropes. According to the legendary Bobby the Brain Heenan, Warrior then began to take liberties during these spots, and he's notably stiff during the scripted move, no doubt because Andre couldn't defend himself. Eventually, Andre had had enough, and during a spot where Andre was trapped into the ropes, Andre freed himself at the last moment and made Warrior run right into his fist. This must have been extremely painful for the Warrior, and it's a miracle that he wasn't knocked out in the middle of the ring.
Jeez.
But there you have it, folks. WWE Wrestling.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy, man. That's a scary... Man, back in the day, being in wrestling was a scary time for an in-ring competitor, especially if someone owed you a receipt. Ron Simmons is scary, bro. Ron Simmons is a scary dude, man. Now, I saw that they brought up Bobby Heenan, I'm sorry, and I feel like that him, Gorilla Monsoon, two of the most underrated commentators, because I feel like they don't come up a lot in these conversations of the top commentators in the history of wrestling. So I just wanted to give them the flowers. But anyways, what do you think was the worst receipt or the worst situation where the wrestler tried to injure the other person in this video? Let me know in the comment section. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I appreciate you guys. We are right around the corner for 15K. So hey, let's make it happen. Thank you guys so much. Salute, peace, have a great day.